Pranam, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for joining. Let's start with our prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome
Hare
everyone.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji. Hare. So we are discussing the third verse of Shri Updeshamrit, Nectar of Instruction. So first let's recite the verse and then we'll go to the section of the purport that we'll try to cover today. So would someone like to recite the shloka?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Can I Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, you want to recite?
Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Yes, please go ahead.
उत्साहा निश्चया धैर्यात् तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तनात् संगत्यागात् सतो वृद्धे षड्भिर्भक्तिः प्रसीद्यति. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam Mataji.
Pranam Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
उत्साहं निश्चया धार्यात् तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तनात् संगत्यागः सदा वृत्तिः तद्भिर्भक्ति प्रसीद्यति. Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Pranam. Anyone else would like to try?
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I try?
Yes, Mataji, please.
उत्साहा निश्चया धैर्यात् तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तनात् संगत्यागात् सदो वृत्ते सद्भिर्भक्ति प्रसीदति. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Bol. Thank you, Mataji. Would someone like to read the translation?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Sudha Mataji, you've raised your hand.
Yes,
Want to
Mataji.
read the translation?
Yeah. Translation, First Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulative principles such as Shravana, Kirtana, Vishnu Smaranam. hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6. Following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So, till yesterday, we were discussing about enthusiasm, that is Utsahan, Nishchaya, Dhairya. That is the section that we tried to cover exclusively. Now, this para that we had read yesterday, but it's talking about Tat Karma Pravartanat. We were not able to discuss this fully. So, let's read this and the other paragraphs. We'll try to cover at least 3 to 4 paras today. Tat Karma Pravartanat and Sangatyagat. We'll try to cover these 2 principles today. So, would someone like to read the purport?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, you can start with the first para. Yeah, it's highlighted as already explained.
As already explained, one should not be idle, but should be very enthusiastic about executing the regulative principles. Tat karma pravartana. Neglect of the regulative principles will destroy devotional service. In this Krishna consciousness movement, there are 4 basic regulative principles: forbidding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. A devotee must be very enthusiastic about following these principles. If he becomes slack in following any of them, his progress will certainly be checked. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore recommends tat karma pravartanat. One must strictly follow the regulative principles of Vedi Bhakti. In addition to these 4 prohibitions, yama, there are positive regulative principles, niyama, such as the daily chanting of 16 rounds on Japamala beads. These regulative activities must be faithfully performed with enthusiasm. This is called tat karma pravartana, or varied engagement in devotional service.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Would someone like to continue with the next para? Anyone? Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, Prabhu, you can read this, and Padma Mataji, you can read the next one, and then fourth, Lalita Vinodini Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, you can start. Yes.
Furthermore, in order to be successful in devotional service, one must give up the association of undesirable people. This includes karmis, jnanis, yogis, and other non-devotees. Once Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked by one of his householder devotees about the general principles of Vaishnavism, as well as the general routine activities of the Vaishnava. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately replied, Asat Sanga Tyaga, Ye Vaishnava Achara. Characteristically, a Vaishnava is one who gives up the association of worldly people or non-devotees. Srila Narottama Dasa Thakura has therefore recommended Tandera Charana Sevi Bhaktasane Vasa. One has to live in the company of pure devotees and execute the regulative principles laid down by the previous acharyas, the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, and Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami. If one lives in the association of devotees, there is little chance of associating with non-devotees. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is opening many centers just to invite people to live in the company of devotees and practice the regulative principles of spiritual life. Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu, Pranam. Yes, Padma Mataji, you can read the next para.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Devotional service means transcendental activities. On the transcendental platform, there is no contamination by the 3 modes of material nature. This is called Vishuddha Tattva, the platform of pure goodness, or goodness free from contamination by the qualities of passion and ignorance. In this Krishna consciousness movement, We require everyone to rise early in the morning by 4 a.m. and attend the Mangalarti or morning worship, then read Srimad Bhagavatam, perform Kirtan, and so forth. Thus, we hold continuous activities in devotional service 24 hours daily. This is called Sato Vritti, or following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas who expertly filled every moment of time with Krishna consciousness, with Krishna conscious activities.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, Lalita Vinodini Mataji, the next parent.
Hare Krishna Mataji, sorry.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, if one strictly follows the advice given in the verse of Srila Rupa Goswami, namely being enthusiastic, being confident, being patient, giving up the association of unwanted persons, following the regulative principles, and remaining in the association of devotees, one is sure to advance in devotional service. In this regard, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura remarks that the cultivation of knowledge by philosophical speculation, the collection of mundane opulence by the advancement of fruitive activities, and the desire of yoga siddhis, material perfections are all contrary to the principles of devotional service. One has to become thoroughly callous to such non-permanent activities and turn his intention instead to the regulative principles of devotional service. According to Bhagavad Gita 2.69, Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. What is the night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhu. So let's try, discussing till this point today. So the first para that we read today was about the executing of the regulative principles. So, as we all know, when we are in the association of devotees and when we join the movement, there are some regulative principles that we are told that these are the do's, these are the don'ts. So that's what Prabhupada is explaining here, that there are four prohibitions, yam, and then there are positive regulative principles, niyam also. So the prohibitions are the basic regulative principle, that is forbidding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, intoxication. And then there are positive regulative principles also, such as chanting of 16 rounds on Japamala. Then we are advised to read Srila Prabhupada's books and deity worship, temple services, etc. So these are the principles that have been provided to us, and Prabhupada is saying that neglect of the regulative principles will destroy devotional service. So it's not a matter of an option that I will do this when I have time, or I'll do it on a day where I am free, or on a day when I'm able to. No, if one is serious about advancement in devotional life, then these are, following these principles is a must. And Prabhupada is saying here that in this Krishna consciousness movement, these are the four principles, and he says that a devotee must be very enthusiastic about following these principles. That means we should not be following these principles with a grudge, begrudgingly, that, oh, now I'm a part of this Sangha, so I just have to do this. If we have this kind of a mentality, then that means we are not happy about it. We are doing it with a grudge, and anything that we do with a grudge carries a certain level of negativity, and ultimately we will slack in doing that because we don't have our heart in it. And Prabhupada says that if we become slack in following any of them, his progress will certainly be checked. So all the four regulative principles are very, very important. The prohibitions as well as the chanting and the other positive activities that we are required to do. These should be faithfully performed, and these should be performed with enthusiasm. We have to understand that, why are we doing all these things? The ultimate objective of all these activities is to satisfy Guru and Krishna. There should be no other motivation. Sometimes what happens is that, new neophytes may come into the movement attracted by the chanting or deity worship or some form of worship. But when they come in the society, they may get sidetracked by other things. For example, someone just likes singing, someone just likes drama. So they did come into the movement for bhakti, for the cultivation of devotional service, but they got sidetracked, they got attracted by something else which takes them away. That is what we need to avoid. The constant focus, and something that we need to remind ourselves every single day, is why we are doing what we are doing. It is for the satisfaction of Sri Guru and Krishna. Definitely, there will be difficulties in following the principles of bhakti because our mind has been conditioned in a very different way for millions and millions of births, and our body also is used to a different kind of life. At least those of us who came to Krishna consciousness at a later age in life, not from childhood. So we were used to a different kind of life, but then bhakti requires us living a different lifestyle altogether. And there will also be many allurements on the path, but we should not get distracted by that. It should not take us away from the path of bhakti, because the allurements can be in many forms. Allurement can be the desire to have more material prosperity. For example, if someone is in a devotee association, in a very good group of devotees, and for example they get a job opportunity in some place where there is no devotee association, and sometimes we have to still go because there is no option. But some people, even though they may have other options, but just because there's more money and it's better for their career, they may choose such opportunities which take them away from devotee association. For example, going into some foreign country where devotee association is not very strong, or they're not able to get that in the particular city where they are staying. So they may think that, okay, I'm just going to go for a few years, make money, and then I'll come back and I'll be in the devotee association. But just going away from devotee association itself is a very risky thing to do. So it's an allurement which can take us away from bhakti. Also, the allurement to reach heavenly planets. Because in heavenly planets, the enjoyment is way more than what we have here in this earth planet, and also the suffering is very less. So there is no disease and old age and all. It's just birth, death, and in between that, it's just full of enjoyment. So some may get allured by that also. So if we continue on the path of bhakti, but we do continue having material desires, then there is a good possibility that we may desire to go to heavenly planets, because the main objective is to satisfy myself, to satisfy my senses. In that case, the pure result of bhakti is not achieved. So we have to be very, very careful not to get swayed by all these allurements, because spiritual life is something that takes time. The development of bhakti, getting that deep faith, then getting the actual joy, the bliss of bhakti, it takes time, because it's like a marathon, it's not like a sprint. A marathon takes time, and to run a marathon we need to prepare ourselves before that. So we need constant practice. Sorry. So we have to be very patient. Anyone who has run a marathon knows that it's not easy. Okay, it requires a lot of preparation, and it also requires a lot of patience. Many times during the running of the marathon, one may feel that I'm just too tired, I cannot do it. But if we have patience and we keep pushing ourselves, then we achieve the goal. Similarly, on the path of bhakti, many times it may appear that there's no advancement, I'm not really changing. I still have, the same problems, and it's getting too difficult for me to manage. So these kind of, discouragements can, make our speed slow, and also they can sometimes take us out of the path of bhakti. But as we are reading through these scriptures, as we are reading the words of our acharyas, we should know that it's normal to feel like this. Like, for example, if there is a lady who's expecting, she's pregnant, she's going to have a baby. And then all mothers know that initial 3, 4 months, there is so much nausea, morning sickness, all these kind of things. Now, if someone is experiencing this for the first time, she may just think that, oh my God, how am I going to survive? And, this is too much for me to take. But if she speaks to other mothers who have given birth, then they tell her that this is normal. You're going to pass through this, and then after a few months, it's going to settle down and you'll start feeling normal again. So, this gives her solace to continue on. Otherwise, she can become very, very scared and, psyched about it. In the same way, when we are on the path of bhakti, when we are trying to chant, we know our mind takes us all around the world when we sit down to chant. Everything is remembered at that time only. Our mind will remind us of all sorts of things. When we speak to devotees and we hear that they also face this problem, then we feel, okay, it's normal. And then they also give us tips as to how to manage that. So that's the power of association of devotees. It helps us move forward. So patience is required. There will be difficulties, there will be allurements that take us away from Krishna, but devotees say that we should be like a chatak pakshi. The chatak bird constantly looks up towards the clouds because the bird is waiting for fresh rainwater. In the same way, on the path of bhakti, we should also try to just keep looking up. That's what my aim is, to get Krishna prem, to satisfy Krishna, to satisfy my Guru Maharaj. And, we should be seeking Krishna's mercy. Yeah, all that is happening around. There will be many disturbances, there will be many problems. We'll see many things happening around in devotee Sangha also, which we're not able to understand. Things may be happening with us in our life, in materials, life, everything is going on. But our focus, if it is always on the aim of Krishna prem, satisfaction of Krishna, then we'll not get so disturbed by these things. So that patience and enthusiasm needs to continue, not just in the starting stages. Sometimes there are some devotees who are very, very enthusiastic when they join the movement. They'll be doing lots of services, they are always there in the temple. But if this enthusiasm is not, supplemented with a very deep sadhana and, a determination, then sometimes it goes off, it weans off. So the real enthusiasm is one is which continues. So there should be consistency, there should be steadiness. So it's in some quote I read that, you're not known as a great person if you do so many, many things in a day. You will be known as a great person if you are able to do certain things every single day. So as sadhakas, we should ask ourselves that, are we doing what Prabhupada has asked us to do every single day? Or is it that today I don't feel like chanting 16 rounds, so maybe I won't. Tomorrow, if I feel like chanting, then I will. This Sunday, I don't feel like going to the temple, so I won't go. Though that's not steadiness, that's not consistency. We have to take our, preference out of it. That okay, today, even if I don't feel like chanting, I still have to keep chanting because I have made a vow. I made a vow to Krishna, I made a vow to Guru and Srila Prabhupada. So I will still chant. Yes, if my mind is taking me all places, that's all right. I will bring my mind back, but I have to chant nicely. I have to put my heart into all the sevas that I'm doing. If I've been giving some responsibility for some service, so if I'm not feeling like, doing it on a particular day, it doesn't matter. I will still go and I'll deliver that seva. I will still do it. So in our life, this consistency and the steadiness is important, and that will come when we make Krishna consciousness our main work. It's not a supplementary thing that we are doing. This should be in the forefront of all our decisions, all our planning, everything. If we do that, only then can we remain steady in the long run. So this principle of tat karma pravartanat it tells us about the do's and don'ts of bhakti, and this actually builds our character, as a devotee. So Prabhupada has said that, we should not remain idle, but we should be very enthusiastic about executing the regulative principles. Like I mentioned earlier, we should not think that, oh, I'm missing out on so much just because I joined this movement. There are so many things that I have to give up. Now I have to give up tea, coffee also. I have to give up onion, garlic also. I have to do this, do that. It's just too cumbersome. All these things come when we don't have a trace of love or affection for Krishna. So, for example, a parent, they do so much for their children, right? And they do it out of love. So they never are, in a grudge that, oh my God, I have a child, I have to feed the child, I have to take care of the child when he or she is sick. No, the parents are not forced to do it. They just do it because there is so much love. Then that work doesn't become a burden. If you ask any mother, all mothers have spent sleepless nights, right? I'm sure many fathers too. And if you ask them, how was their experience raising their children, they will just have very wonderful stories, right? And they'll just share their joy. Their only suffering is when they saw their child suffer. But they never talk about their suffering, when they didn't sleep or when they were harassed because the child was being naughty. No, why? Because there is love. So we need to bring that love, that affection in our sevas, in our following of regulative principles. Then these principles will not seem a burden. Then it'll just be a very joyful path. In one temple that I used to associate with when I was a child, there was one Mataji, and she was telling the Guru Maharaj there that, Guru Maharaj, I'm not able to wake up in the morning for deity services. So Guru Maharaj said that you should think that in the morning Krishna is calling you for that seva. When you think like that, then you will not have any difficulty in waking up. So bhakti is not, it's not a dull path. And it's not just a one-sided thing that I'm just doing this. I don't know if Krishna is even receiving, if Krishna is even seeing. Krishna is seeing everything. And he will reciprocate more than we can imagine. So it's not a dull kind of a path that we are following. It's not like a materialistic relationship where sometimes we are the only one who's doing something and the person on the other side is just not reciprocating. With Krishna, we are guaranteed that, whatever we are able to do, whatever service we are able to perform, Krishna's reciprocation will be unlimited times more. The only thing lacking is our sincerity in doing those services. So if we have this focus in mind that the person for whom I'm doing these services loves me more than I can even imagine, and if I am just showing my sincerity, then the love that comes from Krishna is just going to flood my life with joy. So if we have that confidence and we proceed with the seva, I'm sure we'll get that experience also, which will further boost our determination in the path of bhakti. But the slackening happens when we lose the sincerity and we get swayed by the other things that may be going on around us. So these principles are very, very important to be followed. And like the principles mentioned in the purport are our regulative principles. But apart from these principles, there are other principles of bhakti also. Like, Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion, he talks about 64 angas, 64 aspects of bhakti. And then out of that, 5 are mentioned as the most important. Does anyone remember what are those 5 principles? Out of those 64, there are 5 most important principles. Anyone remembers?
Sadhu Sangha,
Yes,
Dham
Mataji.
Nivas,
Yes.
Dham Nivas, chanting,
Yes. Naam
service,
Kirtan. Naam Kirtan.
Naam Kirtan, and I know the 5, but sometimes.
Shravana,
Yes, Bhagavad
Yeah,
Shravan.
Bhagavad Shravan.
Yeah, Bhagavad Shravan, yes.
And
Srimutira Shraya Sevana.
yeah, Mathuravas. Yeah. So Sadhu
Bhajana
Sangha.
Kriya? Bhajana
Yeah,
Kriya?
that's Naam Kirtan. So Sadhu Sangha, Naam Kirtan, Bhagavad Shravan, Mathura Vas, and Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana. So this comes in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit that one should associate with saintly people. We should chant the holy name of the Lord, hear the sacred scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, reside in a holy place like Mathura Vas, and worship the deity with faith and veneration. Now, Mathura Vas may not be practically possible for everyone to stay in the dham, but making our home in such a way that it is like dham, where Krishna resides. So if we make our home such that it's filled with bhakti, so that is also very nice. And out of these five, what is the most important? So out of 64, these five are most important. Out of these five, which is the most important?
Naam Kirtan?
Naam Kirtan, yes. So
Naam Kirtan, Mataji?
yes, Naam Kirtan. Chanting is the most important. So Prabhupada used to say that 99% of our devotional progress will depend upon our chanting. So when we are chanting, we have to make sure that that is the activity we are doing. We should not be watching TV or talking to someone else or reading anything else. It should be our focus time of conversation with Krishna. And in the Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 13, Srila Prabhupada promises that these five kinds of devotional service are so potent that a small attachment for any one of them, any one of these five items, can arouse devotional ecstasy even in a neophyte. Right? It is so powerful. That's why, our focus should be to fill our day with as many of these activities as possible. And when we are talking about regulative principles, we should also remember the nine limbs of bhakti, which we have already discussed earlier. That is also what we should inculcate in our daily sadhana. That is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam,
Padasevanam.
and
Padasevanam.
Atmanivedanam. So out of these all these limbs of bhakti, there is one devotee who is always remembered for each of these. Do you know for Shravanam, who is the devotee, for whom Shravanam
Parikshit
was?
Maharaj.
Parikshit
Yes,
Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj. And for Kirtanam?
Ragalan Maharaj.
Sukadev Goswami.
Shukdev Goswami, yes. So he was reciting Bhagavatam, na? So Shravanam, Parikshit Maharaj, and Shukdev Goswami for Kirtanam. For Vishnu Smaranam, who was a devotee who was always thinking of Krishna in all kinds of circumstances?
Prahalad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj, right. And Archanam, who was doing the wonderful Seva,
Chitu
deity
Maharaj.
service?
Chatu
Ritu
Maharaj.
Maharaj, yes. And Vandanam, offering prayers to
Akrura.
Krishna?
Akrura.
Akrura, right. And Dasyam?
Hanuman.
Arjuna.
Hanumanji. For Dasyam, Hanumanji. For Sakhyam,
Arjuna.
Arjuna.
Pad Sevanam, who does?
Lakshmi Ji.
Lakshmi.
Yeah, Lakshmi ji. Atma Nivedanam,
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj. He surrendered himself fully. And who was that devotee who performed all of these, all nine?
Amrish Maharaj.
Ambrish
Amrish Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Amrish.
Very nice. All of you know. So Parikshit Maharaj for Shravanam, Shukdev Goswami for Kirtanam, Prahlad Maharaj for Vishnu Smaranam, Prithu Maharaj for Archanam, for Vandanam, Akrurji, Dasyam, Hanumanji, for Sakhyam, Arjuna, Pad Sevanam, Lakshmi ji, Atmanivedanam, Bali Maharaj, and Ambrish Maharaj was performing all of these nine limbs of bhakti, right? So should get inspiration from these devotees. Why were we reciting their names? Because as we were reciting each devotee's name, we were also reminded of the wonderful services they did, right? The wonderful pastimes the Lord had with them. So in this way, these are ways in which we should fill our daily life with Krishna Katha, with remembrance of Krishna, with remembrance of the devotees of Krishna, the wonderful pastimes Krishna has with his devotees. So all these principles, the do's and the don'ts, the positive as well as the ones that we need to avoid, are very, very important. And if we neglect these regulative principles, then what happens? It's like us not taking a medicine that we really needed. So what happens? Our body becomes weaker, na? So if we are neglecting these regulative principles, then gradually our bhakti will become weaker and weaker. And it's very important, as I mentioned earlier, Prabhupada has said that these should be performed with enthusiasm. Only things that we are enthusiastic about really stay with us in the long run. If we are doing something half-heartedly, at one point we'll just stop doing it. And with this regard of serving Krishna, using our body, and in the service of Krishna, Prabhupada has a very wonderful conversation where Prabhupada says that if you always keep yourself spiritually engaged, your body will act spiritually, although it is material. The same example, when an iron rod is red hot, touch it anywhere and it will burn. It takes on the quality of fire. Similarly, if you always keep yourself in Krishna consciousness, then you will become spiritualized. You will act spiritually. No more material demands. So, this example of an iron rod is not hot in itself, but if it is in connection with fire, then it gets the quality of fire and it will also burn. In the same way, our body is actually material, but if we engage in Krishna's service, then the body starts acting spiritually. So then, the person who was in the conversation, his name is Bob. Bob asks Srila Prabhupada that, how do I do this? What is the process? So Prabhupada says that these boys, he shows his devotees, they're following this process. That is the day when some devotees got initiated. So Prabhupada says that you follow the principles of initiation. It is very simple. You have to follow the 4 regulative principles, the restrictive regulations, and chant these beads. Very easy. Then another devotee who's present in the conversation asks that Srila Prabhupada, because you are presenting this knowledge so purely, then it's possible for the common man to understand this knowledge without chanting and following the 4 regulative principles. So he's asking that is it possible for someone to, just understand this knowledge and follow it without actually chanting and without actually following the regulative principles? And Prabhupada says, no, that is not possible. Cheto Darpan Marjanam, Chaitanya Charitamrit Antilila 2012. You have to cleanse the mirror of your consciousness. Then the reflection will be properly viewed. If you keep it dirty, then it is not possible. Therefore, we require first class men to understand this philosophy, not the fourth class man. So, Prabhupada is so strongly stressing. He's not saying that, okay, I am giving this philosophy, so anyone can just take it and start following and become pure. He's stressing that we need to do Cheto Darpan Marjanam. We have to cleanse the mirror of the heart. That is very, very important. And, the if we see the regulative principles, there is also a subtle side to these principles, which is also very important to understand. Yes, in the initial stages, we just know that, okay, no meat eating means we should not kill any living being and eat their meat, no fish, eggs, etc. But there is also a subtle side to no meat eating, which means no violence. So that violence is not just a physical violence, but the violence should also not be there in our behavior. That means a person who is trying to be a devotee or a devotee should not hurt anyone, physically or emotionally. So through our actions, through our words, we should be very careful that we should not be hurting anyone. See, it's not that okay, now I'm an ISKCON member and I'm following the best path. Now I can just talk to people the way I like. No, it should be the opposite. Now, as we all become followers of the Krishna consciousness movement, we all become brand ambassadors. And if any one of us, if our behavior is bad, what will others say? That, oh, you're a follower of ISKCON and you're behaving like this? Are the devotees of ISKCON like this? So once, one Mataji, very senior Mataji, was telling in a lecture that they were going on some yatra and they were all in a train. And something happened, some confusion about the seats, and one devotee got angry. And another person, just a commoner in the train, he was like, "Aren't you a devotee? And you are still getting angry?" So, I mean, for the external world, we have to keep our behavior impeccable, because when people see devotees, they should want to become devotees. It should not be like, oh my God, if devotees are like this, then I don't want to become a devotee. So, we are all brand ambassadors. We have to be very careful about our acharan. So, there should be no violence in our behavior. Our speech should be very, very pleasing and very, very soft. Yes, there may be some times when we need to stress on a particular point, but that has to be done in a very, very proper, gentle manner, not in a fighting spirit. So, no meat eating
Mataji,
is also about violence. Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, see, when you go in the train, sometimes although you book your seats, there are other people occupied and they just don't want to get up. This
Yeah.
happened to us once, and they were insisting that it was their seats. So it was going on, it was leading to a big argument. So what could be done? Because they are stubborn, they don't want to give the seat. So what do we do that time? So we had to call the
We
inspector.
have to be stressed. We have to be stern at times, but we don't have to shout,
No,
right? I
no,
mean,
not shouting,
sternness.
Mataji.
Yeah.
No,
We have to
these
be
people,
stern. We cannot become doormats, Mataji. Nobody is telling us to become doormats that, okay, everyone come and step on me because now I'm a devotee. No, but there is a certain way of behaving. We have to put
yeah, but
our point across, but not in a violent way. That
no,
is all that
Mataji,
is being said.
no, Mataji, they were shouting. Didn't want to give us at all. So how can we go to Vrindavan standing in the train? So that led
No,
to an
Mataji, that is
argument.
actually a very big problem. I can totally understand. Others may be shouting at us, Mataji, but we should not be shouting at them.
Yeah, we
That
told them
is the point.
nicely, Mataji. We told them 2, 3 times nicely, but they just won't. They were
Mm.
so rigid, they didn't want to get up. Ultimately, we had
Mm.
no choice. We had to call the inspector.
Yeah,
So he
that's the
came and
way.
asked
You
for our
did the right
tickets.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then
so
we had
you
to go.
handled the situation properly. Instead of fighting with them, you went to the proper authority to sort it out. That's the right way. So sometimes in our families also, we may say words which hurt others. So we have to be very careful that the
Yeah,
violence is not just a physical violence towards animals, but also to our fellow human beings. We should not be violent. So that is also one aspect of no meat eating. Then intoxication. Intoxication, yes. Okay, no alcohol, no cigarettes, no drugs, yes. But there is also the intoxication of pride, pride of high birth, beauty, wealth, our scholarship. That is also something that we have to give up. Then gambling, yes, you all know gambling, what is gambling, but it is also lack of truthfulness in our life and also speculating about spiritual knowledge. That also comes into gambling, the subtle aspect of gambling. That we should not be, saying things of what I think or speculating about scriptures. We should just be repeating acharyas. Otherwise, that comes into gambling. And illicit sex, yes, sex outside marriage, before marriage, that is there. But also having this desire for profit, for adoration, for distinction. Like if someone is saying Harikatha and then desiring adoration from the general public or money for that, then that also comes into this illicit sex aspect. So there are gross and subtle aspects for all these regulative principles. As we are trying to advance on the path of bhakti, we should be careful that we are avoiding the subtle aspects also. It is not just the gross part. And then comes this very important aspect of asat sang tyag. So asat sang tyag, a Vaishnavacharya Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, because the association of karmis, jnanis, yogis, see this aspect, this point of avoiding the association of karmis, jnanis, yogis, this comes many times. This point is repeated because association with worldly minded people or people who are desiring to merge in the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, or those who desire some siddhis, etc. All these kind of association will have an impact on us. Any person that we deeply connect with, where there is a sharing of thoughts, there will be an impact of their presence on us. So if we are surrounding ourselves only with devotees, associating mostly with devotees, obviously in this world today we have to go for work, we have family members also. So we cannot totally avoid the association of worldly minded people or non-devotees. But what is association? Association is where there is an exchange of thoughts and feelings. So that we should be careful that we are not doing that kind of an intimate interaction with non-devotees. Because someone may appear to be a very nice person, on the face of it. They may be very gentle in their behavior, their speech, their behavior may be impeccable. But such a person may be an atheist. So just because we are impressed by their personality and then we become very good friends with them, naturally there will be an exchange of thoughts. And somewhere, something they say or something we hear from them may bring a doubt in our mind also. See, because right now our creeper of bhakti, the seed of bhakti, the creeper of bhakti, is in a very tender form. So we have to really protect it, like any plant which is just growing. We have to protect it from all sorts of external things that may harm it, right? We take very good care of new plants. So our bhakti lata is also very tender. So we have to be very careful that I do not hear any talks about philosophy from other people. And because some social media means anyone can say anything, and they may pick up something from one devotee and they take it out of context. This happens so many times. Oh, this Prabhu said such and such thing, this Prabhu did such and such thing. And if we go and hear those things, then there may be a doubt that comes in our mind that, oh, really, he did this, being a devotee, he did such and such thing. And then that doubt is so poisonous for our bhakti. So that's why we should not hear lectures and we should not hear commentaries, etc. Also, even if it is about Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, we should not go outside our parampara. There is so much to hear from ISKCON devotees itself. That itself will take more than a lifetime. So why should we go hear from some Babaji or someone who's very popular on social media? Yes, he may be a very nice devotee, but if they're not coming in our parampara, then we should not. We should really avoid hearing from them. Yeah, all respects to all devotees. But we are in this parampara, there is a certain mood that we need to cultivate. So maybe their words will not be conducive to this mood that we are trying to cultivate. That's the only problem. So we should be very, very careful. And Srila Narottam Das Thakur Prabhupada is quoting from him. He says that he's recommending that Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas. One has to live in the company of pure devotees and execute the regulative principles laid down by the previous acharyas, the six Goswamis. So, if we are surrounding ourselves with the devotee association, so this now avoiding the association of worldly minded people, that is definitely there. But the positive angle should also come. It's not that, okay, I'm just avoiding worldly minded people, but I'm just staying with myself. No, we have to go associate with devotees because they will have a very positive influence on us. You see that one Sunday where we are there with the devotees for an extended period of time, we hear Bhagavatam, we chant and we dance, we have prasadam, we do services. We come back with a very, very, charged up consciousness that can actually last the whole week and then comes another Sunday. That is how powerful devotee association is. And we should be there. We should, be like a sponge that trying to grasp all the positive energy that is coming from the devotees. And why not make friends with devotees? Why do we have to go and make friends with non-devotees? Yes, we may have some friends, who have always been there with us. We cannot just totally abandon them. But yes, our exchange of thoughts and people who are actually influencing our decision making or our thoughts should be devotees. So Prabhupada is saying that that's why we are opening so many centers so that people get an opportunity to associate with devotees and get a chance to really live their life in such a way where following of the principles is simpler for them. And Prabhupada says that devotional service means transcendental activities. So there is no contamination by the three modes of material nature. This comes even ahead of Sattva Guna. It's Vishuddha Sattva. So Prabhupada says that this morning program, waking up in the morning at 4 a.m., attending Mangal Aarti, morning worship, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Kirtan, all these things when we go on filling our day with more and more of these activities, then there is very little space to get influenced by negativity of the world. So, yes, we all may be in different phases in our life, we have different responsibilities. Not everyone will be able to do all of these services. But devotees say that we have to bloom where we are planted. So, in whatever situation we have been put, we have to do our best. If we are doing our best, Krishna definitely notices that. Then, in the last para that we read today, Prabhupada says that if one strictly follows the advice given in this verse by Srila Rupa Goswami, namely being enthusiastic, being confident, being patient, giving up the association of unwanted persons, following the regulative principles, and remaining in the association of devotees, one is sure to advance in devotional service. So, and then Prabhupada is quoting his Guru Maharaj. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks that the cultivation of knowledge by philosophical speculation, the collection of mundane opulence by the advancement of fruitive activities, and the desire for yoga siddhis, material perfections, are all contrary to the principles of devotional service. That's why karmis, yogis, jnanis, we have to avoid all of their association. It's not that okay, someone is a spiritualist, so I'll just associate with them. What is their aim in spiritual life? Are they really worshipping the personal form of Krishna, or are they one of those spiritualists who don't believe in the form of Krishna at all? Who will write a Bhagavad Gita in their own way. Calling it Bhagavad Gita but putting in their own interpretations. Actually, right now, many books are coming for children also, based on the teachings of Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc. But some of these are not written by devotees. So we have to be very careful. Just because we read, oh, stories from the Mahabharata, stories from Ramayana, and we pick it up. No, there may be very different interpretations of all the different pastimes. We have to be very careful. And some of these writers are very, very famous people in this country. I cannot name them here, but very, very famous people. They may be taking up our scriptures, writing books for children also. No, there are many books for children also in our movement. So we don't have to go and buy these books for our children written by non-devotees. No, very, very careful to avoid. Shubh Vilas Prabhu has written so many beautiful books for children. So if we are thinking, okay, for children, what do? We have ample of study material for everyone, for children, for adults, for everyone. We don't have to step out of our society. All it requires is this thought that what am I reading? Who has written this? This simple question will help us, stay away from a lot of trouble. Because see, not all of us will be scholars, right? Not all of us will know Sanskrit and be able to give the correct meaning of all the words. Someone may be a very good orator. They may speak with such eloquency that we get impressed that, oh, let's hear from this person. But we don't know the intricacies of all philosophy, right? And so they may say something which goes against our sampradaya, and that really can be very devastating for our bhakti. So I'm saying this again, stick to our parampara, stay in the movement. We don't have to go out. And then Prabhupada further says that one has to become thoroughly callous to such non-permanent activities and turn his intention instead to the regulative principles of devotional service. So whether it is yogic siddhis or getting any fruitive results, or any kind of advancement in philosophical speculation, Prabhupada says that we have to become callous, totally, we have to completely disregard all these things. This is not our path. Our path is to serve Guru and Krishna, not getting all these different kind of siddhis or advancement in speculative knowledge. And this very beautiful verse from Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada quotes 2.69, Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutana. That is, what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self control, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. So, what the materialistic people are doing will be very completely different from the path that the devotees are following. Their lifestyle, their interests, their desires, everything will be completely different. So we have to be very careful which path we are following, which kind of association we are giving ourselves. Is it actually nourishing my bhakti? Actually, sometimes, in devotional life also, we may be associating with some devotees, but for that also we are recommended that, with them also our wavelength should meet, right? Because there's so many devotees in our temples. We cannot have the same level of attachment to all the devotees. Out of all the devotees in our sangha, there will be some, who have the same kind of temperament as us. And when we associate with them, we feel nourished, we feel encouraged. So we have to try and, give more time in that kind of association, which pulls us further towards Krishna, which raises our consciousness higher. So these matters why we are spending so much time is because we need to be very conscious of our association. We need to be very conscious when we are following the regulative principles, because not being careful about these things can really hamper our progress on the path of bhakti. So, following in the words of Srila Prabhupada, let us all try to follow these regulative principles very carefully and with enthusiasm, and also avoiding any kind of negative association that takes us away from Krishna. Okay, so we'll stop here today, continue tomorrow. Any comments, any questions, anything you would like
No,
to
Mataji,
add?
just want to tell you. Yes,
Yes,
day before
Mataji.
yesterday, I saw a small article at the
Mhm.
Kumbh Mela. I don't know whether you're aware. And in the Kumbh Mela, Srila Prabhupada has got a special award for his good teaching and all that. I don't remember much. I'll post it in the group. Is it okay?
Yeah, Mataji, there is a different angle to that. So, which I don't want to mention here,
Yeah.
but because the motivation behind that, is something a little different. I mean, I cannot go into the details here. I can message you separately. That is already discussed in another group. That's why I know this.
Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, it's obviously glorifying Prabhupada is something that all of us should do, and we should feel very happy also. But there is another angle to that, so which I'll tell you separately, Mataji. Let's take it offline.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
But all
Mataji.
glories to Srila Prabhupada. We should be happy that Prabhupada is
Yeah,
here.
I was very happy to read that,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
be a part of
That
his
is
work.
something we should all be very happy about.
Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
Hare
and
Krishna
Mataji,
Mataji,
about this. Yeah, Rekha, go ahead.
one clarification. This Kirtanam, is it Narada Muni or Sukadeva Goswami or both?
Mataji, generally Shukdev Goswami, because he was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, na? So generally he is mentioned for
Okay.
Kirtanam. I mean, obviously, there are many devotees who are doing these limbs of bhakti. Narad Muni, you're right. I mean, he's always chanting the names of
Correct.
Krishna.
Correct.
But because Shukdev Goswami was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, that's why many times he is mentioned for Kirtanam.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much,
Because
Mataji.
Kirtanam is glorifying Krishna, no? So he was glorifying
Correct.
Krishna on Srimad
Correct.
Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for the very nice, detailed explanation. When we
Thank you,
take
Mataji.
time and listen like this, it really touches. Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. That's why we are spending time so that all of us, we completely absorb everything and then we move forward. Yeah.
Mataji.
Mataji, this when you said gambling, there are so many people who are doing stocks and shares. Which category does that fall into? Just out of curiosity.
No, Mataji, stock trading, there is something called day trading. I think that is what needs to be avoided. Investing, because that is totally depending on luck. Anything that is depending just on luck, that is gambling. But there is certain investments where there is analysis and then we invest. So that is not considered as gambling.
Okay.
I mean, I had asked this question to my seniors earlier, and Mataji had told me that day trading is what we need to avoid, which is just totally speculation. That is what we need to avoid. Yeah, I mean, we can get more details, but the essence is that where there is some analysis involved and then you are investing, that is different. But where it's just purely speculative trading, that is what we need to avoid, because that comes in the framework of gambling. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all. Thank you all for joining. We'll continue tomorrow. Actually, this week, Shashimukhi Mataji is traveling to India, and other devotees have some other very pressing sevas and other circumstances. So kindly bear with me. I'll be there tomorrow as well. So yeah. So see you all tomorrow. We'll try completing verse 3 tomorrow. Okay. Thank you all. Panchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः
श्री
अनंतकोटि
देशामृत
वैष्णवी
की
जय
जय, श्री रूप
प्रभुपाद की
गोस्वामी की
जय
जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री गुरु महाराज की जय। हरे कृष्ण। Thank
हरे
you all for
कृष्ण माता
joining.
जी थैंक यू सो
Thank
मच
you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranam
Pranam,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.